Bonjour! Can you hear my voice? Oh yeah, it's me. This is Floriecarte, aka ES. I'll be talking for some sort of testimonies concerning creative reading. But before I'll discuss, let me remind you that whensoever I get erratic, always bear in mind that the greatest right in the world is the right to be wrong. So judge not, that you be not judged too. Let us set these partly fiddlestick infos, and ensure to the content of my talk. Do you want to refresh your memory not regardless with the topic figurative language? Can I hear your voice? Oh, you seem dubious. Hey, can I ask you again the same question? Do you want me to restore your knowledge apropos the topic figurative language? Okay, but before I command that, let's bound ourselves first to what creative reading authentically is. This is in order for you to realize and recognize more about figurative language. Now, set it up. One reads creatively when he goes beyond the printed page. It is intelligent reading, and it involves the capacity to understand reading material that has depth. First, the ability to appreciate that which is beautiful. Second, the competence to read a material in such a way that the words leap from the page and live for the reader. Third, the imagination that enables the reader to make the written page alive. Creative reading is concerned with the production of new ideas and the development of new insights and fresh approaches. Literary appreciation is another term for creative reading. The term literature refers to the body of written work of a particular culture or people. It consists of word compositions which present great ideas. It includes the thoughts and feelings of people which may have been expressed only orally in the past and which an enterprising individual thought of putting into written form. Literature is generally divided into two. Prose and poetry. Prose refers to ordinary spoken or written language, the composition of which is without metrical form. Its structure is usually described in terms of sentences and paragraphs. Poetry or poems are compositions arranged so that they have rhyme and appeal to the imagination. Poems are structured in terms of lines and stanzas. As what I have told you, I'll be explaining to you what is figurative language. So, let's start the discussion. Figurative language is language used when the writer means something quite different from what words literally say. For example, although he means Tony snores so loudly that I cannot sleep, he writes instead, Tony raises the roof when he snores. Figures of speech are language devices intended to bring the reader or listener fresh reactions toward a scene or an object. They represent or make comparisons between familiar objects or impressions in order to bring out less familiar impressions. The figures of speech that logically go well together are based on: first, resemblance. These include metaphor, simile, allusion, personification, and antonomasia. So let's proceed. Metaphor is a word that comes from the Greek metaphorin, meaning to carry over. It is an implied comparison between two unlike objects that are alike only in the way they are identified. For example, character is a diamond that scratches every stone. In this given instance, character is directly compared to a specific object diamond, which scratches every stone. Simile. Simile is a stated comparison between objects of different classes. The comparison being made through the use of words like, as, resembles, or similar to. For example, the baker's head resembled a cement mixer. In this given example, there are two different subjects in which they are compared using the word resemble, and that is the baker's head and the cement mixer. Allusion. Allusion comes from the Latin allusio, which means a playing with. It is a clever reference to a well-known person, event, saying, or thing, and it is used to show comparison with a present scene. Listen to this example. If I were Midas, I would ask nothing else but such golden days as these. The given example is referred from a story of King Midas who was granted the golden touch. He was very happy that everything he touched turned to gold. So, King Midas is a king, and he is referred to as a common person or a famous person, and that's what makes it an allusion. Personification. Personification is the giving of human qualities to things which are not human. Animals, plants, inanimate things, and abstractions are some of it. For example, the flowers bowed to her as she passed. In this given example, the sentence uses an act, bow, that only human can do. In the sentence, the flower is the one who bowed down when a feminine had passed. Antonomasia. Antonomasia is a special type of allusion, which makes use of a title or an epithet instead of a proper name. For example, when speaking of the Queen, an Englishman often says, Her Royal Highness. Antonomasia also makes use of a proper name to convey an idea. These proper names are often based on well-known characters or places in history, myths, legends, and other types of literature. Thus, a very strong man may be called a Samson. That's from the Bible. And a very beautiful woman may be called Venus. That's from Greek mythology. Hyperbole. Hyperbole is an extravagant statement or figures of speech not intended to be taken literally. For example, to wait an eternity. In the given example, the word eternity, which means everlasting, is used and being modified by the word wait, which is impossible to happen. Litutis. Litutis is an understatement, especially that in which an affirmative is expressed by the negative in its contrary, as in not bad at all. For example, you are pretty ugly. In the given instance, the word pretty there means quite enough, which flows with the phrase not bad at all. So, it simply implies that her being of being ugly is not that very worst. Our next topic is parallelism or contrast. This includes antithesis, paradox, and irony. Antithesis is the placing of a sentence or one of its parts against another to which it is opposed to form a balanced contrast of ideas. For example, give me liberty or give me death. In the given example, there is an opposition between liberty and death. Liberty and death were used to make a fair contrast of ideas. Paradox. Paradox is an opinion or statement contrary to commonly accepted opinion and is absurd statement that expresses a possible truth. For example, we have built years to life, not life to years. In the given instance, it says that it is necessary for us to build life to years, and not to build years to life. This is an accepted opinion even if it sounds absurd. Irony. Irony is a figurative language expressing humorously sardonic and mocking utterance of sentences. For example, oh, you ran faster than a turtle does. In the given instance, an animal turtle is mentioned but as a means of insult because a turtle runs very slowly and a human walks is even faster than it does to run. Now, let's proceed to the sound effects in literature. These include alliteration, assonance, and onomatopoeia. Alliteration comes from the Latin ad, meaning to, and litera or letter. Thus, alliteration is the recurrence of the initial consonant sound at the beginning of words close together. For example, hear the loud alarm bells. Brazen bells, what a tale of terror now, their turbulence tells. In the given example, the letter B appears twice and its presence as initials are repeated. Assonance. Assonance comes from the Latin ad, meaning to, and sonare, meaning to sound. Assonance refers to the recurrence in words that are close together, of the same vowel sound. For example, I was leaving home when my folks were growing old. In the given example, Letter O is applied to give emphasis to the reappearance of a vowel sound. Onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia comes from the Greek onoma, meaning name, and poien, meaning to make. Onomatopoeia is a speech device which uses a word whose sound suggests the meaning or tone. For example, I hear the buzzing of the bees and the hissing of the snakes. In the given example, the sound of the bees, buzz, and the snakes, hiss, are used to describe itself, and what the person have heard from both specific nouns. I could be the man who grows old with you. So, I'm reminding you that the immense right in the world is the right to be wrong. Harry Wynne Bircher. Bonjour. I appreciate you listened. Thank you. Goodbye.